All right, so you just learned about relational data and how we use keys or common variables between different data frames to join data in different ways, right? So we're gonna go ahead and work on this knowledge check here. And in this knowledge check, we're using the complete journey data. Now, if you haven't done so, I would highly recommend you go out to the website providing the lesson reading that discusses this data, right? And so, in short, this data is mimicking typical shopping transactions made by households at a large grocery chain store. Okay, so there's multiple different types of data in here. Here's an example of the different types of tables we have. So we have transactions. So think about every time a household scans an item that they're going to purchase, that is considered a transaction. Okay. Now, there is information that's related to these transactions, but they're held in different data sets, such as information on the products that are purchased in the transaction. There's demographic information for each household that is purchasing or making a transaction. And we have coupon information. So we want to use this information and the connections between each of these data tables to answer these questions. All right, so I've already loaded this data, and the data sets we're going to be using are transactions, demographics, coupons, and coupon redemptions, right? And each of these has some kind of variable in it that relates back to the transactions data. All right, so number one, it says join the transactions and demographics data so that you have household demographics for each transaction. Now use that to compute the total sales by age category to identify which age group generates the most sales. All right, so what this would look like, first of all, let's look at transactions. And we see that for each transaction, we have a household that made the purchase, the store that they made the purchase in, the basket of goods that they're buying. Here's the product ID, the sale value of that, how many of those products were included in that transaction, and so on. Now, we also have demographics data. So demographics data, we have household ID, we have the age, the income range for that household, the home ownership status, marital status, and so on. Right? So if we were to look at these two tables, transactions.head, right? So we would see that the common variable, and we would get this by looking at the information, the complete journey information, the connecting variable is this household ID. So we can take all this information that's provided in demographics data and link it to each transaction based off the household ID. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to do that. So what we want to do is we want to take our transactions data and we want to merge this with the demographics data. All right, now there are many different ways that we can merge, right? And you saw this in the lesson that we can do a left join, an inner join, a right join, and so on. So in this case, there may be some households that make a purchase that we don't have demographic information on. So we're only going to retain those transactions that we do have household demographics on. So we can do that by specifying we want an inner join, okay? Now, we typically want to be explicit about what we join on. And so in this case, the household ID is what our key variable is. That's the connection between the two data frames. All right. So if we just looked at this output here, we would now see we have our transaction data, but if we scroll all the way over, we have now linked our demographic data, such as age, income, home ownership, and so on, to each transaction, right? So that allows us to continue on and answer this question. So it says, once we've merged this data, now compute the total sales by age category to identify which age group generates the most sales. So what we would do here is we would want to go ahead and say we're going to group by, and we want to group by, it was the age category, and I'm going to go ahead and say as index equals false. And then, well, let me make sure I've got this correct here. Prefer to show the continuation at the beginning here. So we're going to group by the age, and then we're going to compute a summary stat. And that summary stat is the total sales. So that's going to be the sum of sales for each age group. Right? So we can go ahead, we can use the ag, and we want basically the sales value is a variable of interest, and we want to get the sum of that variable. All right, so now we can see we have total sales based off of each age group. But if we wanted to make this simple to see which one, like how our age groups compare to one another in the total sales value, we can always use sort values, and we want to sort by sales value. We want to sort in descending order. So we're going to say ascending false. So now we see that the age group of 45 to 54 has the highest total sales across all transactions, followed by the age group of 35 to 44. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at number 2 here. Use successive joins to join transactions with coupons and then with coupon redemptions. Use the proper join that will only retain those transactions that have coupon and coupon redemption data. So if we looked at our data dictionary here, we would see here's coupon and coupon redemptions down here. And we can see the link between transactions and coupons is product ID. That's the common variable, the key. And then the common variable or the key with coupons and coupon redemption is the campaign ID. Okay? So how we can do this is we can go ahead and we're going to take transactions and we're going to merge with coupons. And we said, how do we want to merge? Well, it says use the proper join that will only retain those transactions that have coupon and coupon redemption ID. All right, so in this case, we're going to do an inner, and that's going to drop any of those transactions that aren't related to a coupon. And then we want to join on what was the common variable? It was product ID. On product ID. All right, so if we just did this, we would now have all our transaction data, and we could scroll over, and we would also have the coupon information. So we have coupon UPC and coupon ID. Okay, so this coupon ID is now what we can use to connect to the coupon redemptions. So what we can do now is go ahead, follow this with another merge. And I want to merge with coupon redemption. I believe it's just redemption. Oh, redemptions. Again, we want to merge using an inner join. And we want to merge on campaign ID. And we'll see that this will take a little bit of time. All right, so one thing you may have noticed if you ran this is that this took a long time. And it may have even failed on your end just because of the extent of time. And here's the reason. Because we are merging based off a campaign ID. But if you have a keen eye, you would see that within coupon redemptions, we also have household ID. And that has a connection to the transactions data. Right? So if we leave out household ID, then our join is actually going to be doing a lot of extra work and take up a lot more extra compute resources than necessary, right? And that could actually cause your kernel to shut down. So what we actually want to do is we want to do a merge where we're merging the coupon redemptions data. We can go ahead and take a look at what that looks like down here. For each household, they are given a certain campaign ID, and we have the UPC of that coupon. So what we actually want to do is merge to, let's go ahead and take this out. We've got this data right here where we have for each household ID all their transaction information, and then the coupon UPC and the campaign ID aligned to that transaction. And what we want to do is we want to merge this information, right? This will give the redemption date as well. So we can do that, and we can now see, actually, if we take a look right here, after we merge, we have coupon UPC, common variable, we have campaign ID, common variable, and household ID, right? So all that we're getting that's additional information from the coupon redemptions is this redemption date, okay? So if we want to merge this, then we have two options. And one option is to go ahead and remove this on, right? We could say, I'm going to remove that. Now what Pandas is going to do is look for all the common variables that exist between those two data sets, which we could see as campaign ID, coupon UPC, and household ID, and merge on that, right? Or we could explicitly specify we want to merge based off of multiple variables. And we can do that with on and then provide a list. We have household ID, coupon UPC, and campaign ID, right? And when we merge on this, we will now see this goes much quicker, right? Because it's much easier to identify the individual rows based off of those key variables and to connect the data versus just a single variable, which would then be duplicating a lot of information that's not necessary. Okay, so now we can see in this final result we have the household ID, we have all the transaction data for that household ID, we have the coupon UPC that was included with that transaction, the campaign ID that transaction or that coupon relates to, and then the redemption date.